Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now. Hey miners, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the new home of power mining analysis. Well, here we have it. Day 2 of Bitcoin Amsterdam is in the books. Anthony Power and I wanted to jump on the podcast, give you guys some insight and details into what we heard and saw over the last 2 days. In addition to that, we've got a really exciting update on our Q4 Miner Madness competition, and of course our regular news or press release coverage of the Bitcoin mining space. So a lot to get through in today's video. Before we do, you guys, you know the deal. Smash the like button, feel free to subscribe, and of course leave a comment in the section below. Let us know how you're feeling about the miners overall right now, Bitcoin in general, and your outlook for 2025. Now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Thursday morning back in North America, Thursday night here. Anthony, we've just wrapped up day 2 at the Bitcoin Amsterdam conference, and what a 2-day experience this has been. We've met a number of industry experts in the space, subscribers, followers, watched some great panels, and of course, both had our speaking sessions actually on the first day of the conference. So Anthony, looking back, what were the highlights of this year's Bitcoin Amsterdam event?
Been a great conference. Met a lot of people, a lot of people in the industry, a lot of followers out there, and really some really positive comments coming back from a lot of people. What we've been doing this year with power mining analysis, so that was really good. Got to meet some OGs in the industry, and I think we're going to have some really good podcasts coming out in the next weeks. We've looked to invite some of these people onto the podcast. They're very keen to come on and give us a different dynamic in the Bitcoin space. So been a really positive 2 days, loved every minute of it, and great to meet quite a few of the followers as well, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't be here without you guys.
Most definitely. Now, the venue itself, Anthony, is super interesting. This is my first time in Amsterdam. We've been having a blast exploring the city here. We're going to the Naval Museum tomorrow. We've been on a canal cruise, but the Amsterdam Bitcoin event itself was quite unique. So you and I both spoke on the Wednesday on the Orange stage. My panel was actually about reusing excess heat from Bitcoin mining rigs. So to my surprise, actually, there was 3 people on my panel. All of them had practical examples of this. So the first company was using it to heat greenhouses here in Europe. They actually brought along some of the fruits and vegetables they grew at that greenhouse for everyone to try. The second company, interestingly enough, 21 Energy, already creates home space heaters using S19 miners, Anthony. So you can plug these in, and rather than paying to heat your home through a space heater with no reward, you can actually get some Satoshis for your effort. And then finally, we had Marathon on my panel as well, talking about their 11,000 home heating project here in Europe. So a great panel. It was standing room only. You followed that up, Anthony, actually on a panel with Amanda Fabiano. So I'll let you explain that one as well. Went over great with the audience.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, considering you were on very early in the morning on the first day, there was only standing room only. I think there was 50, 60 people stood there, maybe 200 or 300 sat down watching your particular panel. So it was a great start to the day. Really good panel, really good discussion about mining in Europe and what these miners are doing to bring in separate revenues. So that was a really good panel to listen to. I went on like 2.5 hours later, and I had Jeremy Dreyer from Go Mining and Adam Hayes from Simply Mining, and moderated by Susie Violet Ward from the Bitcoin Policy UK. And again, my panel was talking about the geographical mining of Bitcoin in Europe and the viability of Bitcoin mining in Europe. So it's a really good conversation, good debate. It is becoming a challenge in Europe to mine Bitcoin with the energy prices there, but we are seeing some really unique ideas from miners where they can get a second revenue stream utilizing that really good heat that comes from the Bitcoin mining. And we talked a little bit about that and a little bit about the future of Bitcoin mining itself. So yeah, really good panels, and good to get them on day one.
Yeah, they certainly were, Anthony. Quite an experience. Now, in the main room, this location is called Westergas, and this was actually a gas storage facility. So, the main room of the conference or the main stage is inside of a massive storage silo or cylinder that used to hold petroleum, Anthony. So, a very interesting venue. We were actually able to catch a number of the main stage speakers, including some of the Bitcoin miners, which we'll talk about in a second here. Now, we actually got the opportunity to meet a couple of the OGs in the space. So, Jack Mahler was there, gave an excellent speech talking about Bitcoin adoption and worldwide dominance of Bitcoin and use cases. Then we got to actually meet with Adam Beck. So, you sat down with him for about an hour, Anthony. Great discussion, one of the real OGs in the Bitcoin space. And interestingly enough, both of these partners were interested in doing podcasts. So we're very grateful, looking forward to having some more guest experts or analysts on the podcast here, as we've done after Bitcoin Nashville as well. Now, moving along, Anthony, as we were here, our team was hard at work on the Miner Madness competition. So we've now updated the website, you guys. You can go in there under the community tab. We've got a Miner Madness competition. And the full list of applicants, over 300 contestants, is now on the website. You can search your name, compare your rank to the industry analysts or the analyst picks, and of course, your friends in the space. So, this competition, Anthony, has really taken legs of its own. And a lot of people, even here in Amsterdam, were asking for updates and interested in the competition.
No, absolutely. It's been an interesting couple of weeks since we come up with the idea of running a competition for this quarter, and the popularity has grown and grown and grown. We've had so many people try to join the competition after the date, but we had a fixed date to start the competition on the 1st of October. It's a 3-month period. We'll be running more competitions in future courses as well, because I think this is something that people are really interested in. It keeps people have some, interest in the game, interest in the mining companies. Can they outperform the analysts in this space, or the so-called analysts? And interesting enough, I think we're still out the 9 analyst price. I think we're still holding positions 1 and 2. So that's early days. We're only 10 days into the competition. Lots of things will change, but a reasonable start by us. One thing I will say is, in terms of mining stocks, prices have dropped a bit. And if you look at the person leading the competition, bear in mind with $300 invested in 3 mining companies, I think the profit at the moment is less than $5. So that tells you even the top miners that have not really performed over this 10 days. So we're still waiting for the Bitcoin price to start moving. We heard from Zach Bradford today on the stage, the CEO of CleanSpark, and in his sort of thought process, the expectation of a Bitcoin rally was due to probably start around about September. You're now thinking October, and it'll run, through to January. So he's sort of still hopeful that that will aspire, because that will help him out as a Bitcoin mining company. The revenues will be much needed, from those that are operating really well, like CleanSpark, all the way down the line. With all the other miners on the global network. And we've seen today, just in today, the global network started the morning at 660 exahash, and was, by the time we left the conference, it had dropped down to 610. So that's 50 exahash off the global network just today. Yes, it's quite volatile. So miners were switching off during the day today. So that's probably about 8 or 9% of the global hash rate coming offline just during the day. And these graphics were available at the Bitcoin conference for everyone to see. So it was, I came last year, and believe you me, the number of people attending this year's conference was massively, or appeared to be massively high, and that was reiterated, as I said, in the area when we did our speaking roles. Far more people this year than last year were actually in that area. So that was great to have a good audience to go when we were doing our panels.
Yeah, it always helps to have the audience engagement. Now, Anthony, you brought up miner stock prices as well. So we'll bring up our mid-morning market update here. Again, fairly mixed day, probably weighted more to the red than green. TeraWulf is on top today. They came out with some big news, which we're going to cover next up in the presentation. And IREN, interestingly enough, the top pick overall in Miner Madness at the bottom of the leaderboard today. So we'll see if these rankings change throughout the day, but definitely a lot of pressure on the Bitcoin miners this week, Anthony, as they've been retreating really throughout the week here, waiting for Bitcoin to find its footing.
Yeah, the Bitcoin price has been, slowly but surely getting towards the 60,000 mark. I mean, last week it was, at the 65,000 mark. So we've lost about, 8 to 9% on the Bitcoin price. Mining stocks have been hit a bit further than that. So, that's what we're seeing. It's a little bit of a pullback at the moment. But as I say, as per other cycles, by now we would have started to see that run into the bull cycle. So we're still waiting for that to happen. It happened in the previous three cycles, or this is the fourth cycle. So we're optimistic about the bull cycle starting imminently, but time will tell. Yeah, but today, as you see there, most of the miners in the red. Bitcoin price a little bit down. And IREN, yeah, surprisingly, IREN, the most picked mining stock for the competition, has been down 3% today, but down about 14% since the start of the competition. So need a bit of a pullback there to keep, though I think 65% of people had IREN in their one, two, three. So that's how popular IREN was overall.
Yeah, hopefully we will. Now, Anthony, a lot of our time at the conference was spent in the speaker or whale area. Seems to be where a lot of the people you'd like to visit with hang out. We got the opportunity to chat with a number of these key thought leaders in the space, and a lot of them really referred to the US election as a tipping point for the market. So not necessarily saying which party or candidate they're looking to have in, but just saying the market itself hates uncertainty and they're looking towards that November date to really find a clear direction for the crypto market. So just over a month now away from the election, that will be very interesting to see, as this is the first time a US federal election has had Bitcoin within the campaign platform. So that one's going to be interesting to watch. Now, we just mentioned TeraWulf as the leader of the pack today, so to speak, Anthony. That's really on the backs of some big news in relation to their Lake Mariner facility. So last week we reported on their other Nautilus facility actually exiting that location. We were expecting a two-parter or some additional news, and here we have it this week.
Yeah, no, this is a great update by TeraWulf, and now that they've sold or effectively sold the Nautilus position there, the 25% stake in the Nautilus site, they've now put the full focus on Lake Mariner, and where they had effectively a 35-year lease that came into being on May the 21st, 2021. They've now increased that by a further 45 years. So that gives them effectively up to 80 years expansion at this site with 157 acres of increasing infrastructure capacity, and up to 750 megawatts. So they've got one site, large position there in terms of size. And if you look at some of the big sites, we know the Corsican is 1 gigawatt. You've got the Rockdale facility at 700 megawatts. So this TeraWulf site will be bigger than the Rockdale facility, on a sort of par with where the Childress site will be. So IREN have got the Childress site, which has been increased from 600 megawatts to 750. This is a similar size site, and this will be hopefully there to attract the high performance computing and AI data center customers. So some high quality customers going to TeraWulf, and that's a business that they're keen to move into. I mean, we had the likes of Patrick on the show, literally about a month ago, and he gave an update on what was happening next year in terms of the mining hash rate increase. There was no increase put forward for that, so they're fully focused on delivering a HPC contract, and now they've got the power, the infrastructure, the water. I'm assuming they've got great fiber connectivity there because they've been running pilots for HPC there as well. So that can, these pilots are there to show what the company can deliver on a smaller scale, but expand that into a bigger model. So a lot of these mining companies are doing that, and TeraWulf just seem to be ticking the boxes at the moment. So hopefully we'll hear some sort of a HPC update in the near future. We've been talking about TeraWulf and the likes of Cypher, two of the probably the biggest miners who potentially have that background in building data centers and having considerable power assets available to deliver some sort of a HPC contract.
Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today. Yeah, most definitely. TeraWulf literally laying the groundwork for this expected HPC announcement. And Paul Prager, CEO of TeraWulf, was actually out in Amsterdam and gave a great speech here as well, Anthony. So great to watch that. Now, we just mentioned CleanSpark as well. We ran into the CEO, Zach Bradford, here in Amsterdam. He gave a speech as well on the main stage. Great to sit down and have a chance to visit with CleanSpark here. And interestingly enough, Anthony, almost as that discussion was going on, a press release dropped stating they're now at 30 exahash. So their stated target for year end is 37. You and I think they may be slow playing it a bit and get closer to 40. That's our personal opinion. And it will also be interesting now to see as these top companies, these tier one miners jockey for position. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to hear more of these announcements, Anthony, as the companies compete to have that top spot.
Yeah, there's been some really big updates from a number of the miners in the space. We've seen not only CleanSpark grow significantly, but we've seen the likes of IREN. We've seen Riot put out some big updates in terms of growth. Riot went over 28 exahash in terms of what was installed hash rate at the end of September. CleanSpark have made two announcements in October to surpass that rate there. And today's hash rate achieving 30 exahash. That's a really a big boost for the company. Bear in mind they started at about 10 exahash in October last year, so they've grown 200% over the last 12 months, which is an amazing feat. And if you look at what they were, 3 years ago when they were just 2 exahash, that's an immense amount of hash rate increase in such a short space of time. They've done this by using the at the market offering. So they've used equity, diluting shares, but you can see the benefits of that, particularly in this company here where, shareholders have benefited as the share price has increased over that period. And even though the share price is a little bit subdued from where it was in March, we can see that the increase in share price over the last 12 months is significant compared to some of its peer miners. Now, they talked about a hash rate expectation of 37 in previous updates. Today's update says they expect to surpass 37 before the end of 2024. And I don't think I'd be wanting to put money against that happening there. So I think they'll fully deliver more than 37 by the end of the year. And they're still on target to grow to 50 exahash and beyond. So and beyond in 2025. So that 50 exahash target is certainly, an initial target. But if they're going to grow at the rate they're growing at the moment and achieve somewhere in the region of 27 exahash in 2024, I think they've got potentially to do more than 13 exahash in 2025. One thing they have done in this period is they've been looking to, obviously utilize the low cost of mining machines during this cycle to build up this growth for the company, because we saw in 2021 as the Bitcoin price rallied through that bull cycle, the price of machines rallied as well. And we haven't seen the price of machines rally yet, but if they start to rally now all the way through 2025, then that's going to be more challenging for miners to grow hash rate unless they've got orders in there. So one thing CleanSpark have done is they've got lots of orders in place, lots of options to grow further, and they've maybe locked in a lot of these prices where they can still grow next year. So if the Bitcoin price rises, they'll benefit from more revenue, but they've got these locked in prices on the mining machines. So it's going to be a good 2024 for CleanSpark, and it looks like 2025 will be even better.
Certainly. And Zach talked a lot in his speech about how the cyclicality of this nature really requires management to time their purchases of hardware, of HODL, of selling HODL. And as you say, Anthony, 30 exahash worth of equipment or 37 exahash by year end worth of machines has a tremendous amount of value in a bull cycle. Now, speaking of growth, we got another great update out today from Soluna. So not only did they come out with September production results, which you can walk through next. They also provided a great update on the series of projects that they have on the go right now, along with some great photos. So I'll get into that afterwards, Anthony. But why don't you let us know how they did in terms of production?
So yeah, today Soluna released their operational update for September, and they showed they've managed to get a little bit more hash rate on than they had in the month of August. So in month of August they had 655 petahash operating. During the month of September, that's increased to 709 petahash, so about an 8% increase in the average operational hash rate for the month. That enabled them to produce an extra Bitcoin, so they managed 15 Bitcoin versus 14 August. And bear in mind, September has 30 days as opposed to 31 days in August, so 1 day less mining, but with a bit more hash rate, produced an extra Bitcoin. Um, in terms of fleet efficiency, they're operating at 26 joules a terahash. So now that's sort of like in the sort of like the mid tier in terms of efficient miners. And when you look at some of the like with CleanSpark and IREN certainly heading below 20, and then the likes of Riot and Core Scientific, and also heading towards the low 20s. Soluna in that sort of like 26 range there. It's still I would say it's in the mid range there. There's a number of miners that are significantly more than that. But yeah, in terms of operating update, again, reasonably good update there. Bitcoin mined per exahash 21.1 as opposed to 21.3 during August. So again, a small difference there in terms of production per exahash, but bear in mind the difficulty did increase during the month, so that's to be expected. And in terms of mining revenues, effectively 950,000 dollars during the month of September versus $830,000 August. So again, a 15% increase in mining revenue. So we saw the Bitcoin rally from 58,000 in August to 63,000 in September. So that gave the miners a little bit of opportunity to get more revenues, with the difficulty having a little bit of an impact, pulling back some of the production for a lot of the miners. But from a mining position, Soluna put out a good self-mining update today.
Yeah, I sure thought so as well, Anthony. Nice to see those numbers moving in the right direction. Now, next, we're going to get into the site update here. So I'll throw up some visuals on the screen, some great images coming out from Soluna. So really the first notable update here, Anthony, is Project Dorothy 2. This is a 48 megawatt Bitcoin hosting facility. So they've now started their site grading. You can see some of the pictures coming out here. Civil construction teams are on site in the process of pouring their concrete pads. And nice to see some of those long lead time power or electrical infrastructure materials have already been received. Now, that's one of the long lead time or bottleneck things we hear about in this space. And they're actually finalizing the interconnection substation completion dates as well. So a lot of great updates coming out of Dorothy too. That's going to be one we're watching very closely here.
And we've talked many times about Soluna. They're a small company, but they're sort of punching above their weight in terms of their projects and the size of their projects. So they've not only got the Dorothy 1, Dorothy 2 projects on the go there, they've got the Project Grace, which kicked off the mission critical on the concept design for Helix. So this is the AI cloud hosting And that's at the Dorothy 2 site there. They've got Project Ada, a 1 megawatt AI cloud with high performance equipment there. And then they've got Project Sophie and Project Catty. So, Project Catty is still in the sort of like design stages. Project Sophie, that site's continued, it's still operating at high level, as cooler temperatures are now making the opportunity to perform better. And preparations underway for the fleet upgrade, the 8.8 megawatt fleet upgrade and 3.3 megawatt expansion, which will be completed during October. So all these projects there. If you haven't seen more about them, go onto their website. They've got a great presentation pack which shows all the various projects, and it even shows all the potential revenues when they start coming through for these projects as well. So Project Cat is still in sort of like design phase, still probably waiting for a funding partner to come along there. But they are in sort of like negotiations with the landowners for site land leases on that project. So that's one of their biggest projects when that comes to actually breaking ground, 166 megawatts. And bear in mind, we've talked about the size of Soluna, probably market capitalization between 25 and 30 million, but definitely punching above its weight in terms of projects.
It certainly is. So, some great images, some great site updates, and of course, a great monthly production report from Soluna. A win-win-win across the board for John and team. Now, Anthony, we've covered a lot in today's presentation. So, first and foremost, you guys leave a comment in the section below. Let us know how you're looking in terms of the Miner Madness ranking right now. We'd be super curious to hear from some of the top 10 or top 25 members how they're feeling about the Bitcoin mining space. In addition to that, let us know your thoughts on Amsterdam and what we're seeing in Bitcoin price right now. Do you think the election is really that critical catalyst that we're waiting for? Do you think we may see a rally prior to that? If you're still watching, smash the like button. Feel free to subscribe. And of course, we'll see you here tomorrow.